How useless is Sonic in his own games? Honestly, in some games, I can see how he's pretty useless, but it's still Sonic, so he got to be pretty useful, right? I don't know, but we're about to find out. This is an awesome video I saw. I saw the video about Shadow already. I watched it personally. I thought it was a great video. But let's go ahead and see the inverse. Let's talk about how useless is Sonic in his own games. Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog, everyone's favorite speedy, cocky little blue rodent. Sometimes the fate of the world's at stake and he 100% delivers, and other times he relies on his friends a bit too much or just does something stupid to make things worse. Today, we're going to look at Sonic's character in every mainline Sonic the Hedgehog game and rank him from worthless to elite.
Okay. The original?
In the Hedgehog's debut, he plays a pretty standard protagonist role. There's not much story or context given, Sonic's just running around super fast and saving tiny animals from the clutches of the evil Dr. Robotnik. He succeeds, doesn't f*** anything up, and sets up a great foundation for his character. But compared to some later portrayals, it's nothing spectacular.
Sonic
so
music.
Typical.
What? Typical?
Sonic 2 ups just about everything from that first game. Faster levels, brighter environments, more characters, more emeralds, and a new form for our Blue Blur, Super Sonic.
Yeah.
You can only use it when you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, but it makes Sonic feel OP as all hell.
For real.
Now, Tails does travel with him, but he's not dependent on him for anything. Sonic's a role model to him, and Tails desperately wants to tag along. This game really refined Sonic into the badass he was seen as in the 90s, and I'm gonna be generous and push him up to elite for it.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I don't know what to do with this one, because Sonic's able to time travel, which is super useful, but everything depends on whether or not you get the good or bad ending.
True.
Some futures are destroyed by
I haven't played this in a long
and others flourish
time.
in his absence. It all boils down to how well the player plays the game.
Yep.
It makes him tough to rank, but him having so much control over the fate of the world
that makes him elite.
Have to put him at least up in typical hero.
I would have put him elite just for the fact that...
I'm grouping Sonic 3.
Bro, I would make him elite just for the fact that it is up to how good he is to save the world or let it die. So, I mean, but yeah, cool. Typical is fine, I guess.
Me have to put him at least up in typical hero. I'm grouping Sonic 3 with Sonic and Knuckles again because it's the
Sonic and Knuckles is fire.
And gives us the best look at the complete narrative. Eggman's trying to relaunch the Death Egg and tricks Knuckles the Echidna into helping him steal the Master Emerald. Instead of an overweight roboticist being his main competitor, here it's another anthropomorphic creature with powers that very much rival his. And when partnered with Eggman, the odds are really stacked against him throughout this one. Once Knuckles changes sides though, it's basically over. Sonic rips through the Death Egg and goes super to defeat Eggman.
Yep.
But if you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds and convert those to Super Emeralds, you can unlock Hyper Sonic for the only time in the series. He's even faster than Super Sonic and can breathe underwater, making this the strongest form of Sonic we've seen to date. That alone makes this a really straightforward elite.
Oh yeah, 3D Blast.
In Sonic's
Man, this was a fun
game, he's not doing anything too crazy.
It was kind of difficult, but it was fun.
Makes him feel a lot slower and less agile than the classic games, which makes playing as him not feel nearly as satisfying. Plot-wise, though, it's basically Sonic 1. Eggman's after the Emeralds, and Sonic tries to save a bunch of flickies and stop the Doctor. The mediocre gameplay makes me want to lower him a bit, but he is effective in his goal and is a one-man wrecking crew, so I'll give it to him. Typical.
I like that game.
Sonic Adventure is an excellent transition to 3D for the Sonic series.
Like, literally, like, the final boss is him in a flooded city. Like, yes,
it
elite.
Carries over the level design
Not even a question.
His moveset, and adds a couple new moves to make navigating this 3D space easier.
Yes,
he plays
so
great,
good.
But his plot significance is watered down by the inclusion of a bunch of other characters.
I mean,
that's not a bad thing, but it is for Sonic's role. Now, he's just one of 6 playable characters. And sure, his story is still the main event, but when you play through Tails' story, you see him beat Sonic to the end of every single stage.
It's not canon,
for the fastest thing alive, you'd expect him to easily outrun his pal, but he doesn't. And toward the end of the game, when Sonic defeats the Egg Viper and sends Eggman plummeting towards Station Square, he's off doing something else. And in a last-ditch effort, Eggman sends a missile at Station Square to blow it to bits. And the only one around that can do anything about it is Tails.
Yeah.
So all by himself, he beats Eggman to the explosive and defeats him, which is a big moment for him, but makes Sonic out to be super careless and not having the situation under control at all. But when Perfect Chaos takes its full form, Sonic goes super and is the only one that stands a chance against that thing. That moment is pretty elite.
Look where
he's at. But with the big focus on other characters and him failing to stop an Eggman missile, I've got to knock him down to typical hero.
That's crazy. Bro saved the entire city. I mean, yeah, like, Tails stepped in and saved the day for the missile, I mean, that's just a W Tails moment. That's not an L Sonic moment. I'm confused.
This game introduces a new character whose abilities contend with that of Sonic's, Shadow the Hedgehog. And throughout the game, Shadow is shown to be a lot stronger and more skilled than Sonic. When they first meet, he puts his speed to shame using Chaos Control
is cheating,
and gets Sonic thrown in jail. If it weren't for Tails and somehow Amy, he probably wouldn't have gotten out, and the island would have exploded with him on it. He's kind of dependent on all his friends throughout the game. He needs Knuckles to break into Eggman's base, and he needs Tails to devise plans for him. Now, miraculously learning Chaos Control at the end was pretty damn cool, especially when he didn't even have an actual Chaos Emerald. How the f did he do that? I don't know. But he proves that he can be just as strong as Shadow, and the boss battle that follows only further solidifies that. But then for the epic final battle against the Bio Lizard, Sonic takes a backseat and lets Shadow handle the first phase. Then when the Bio Lizard takes over the space colony and sends it straight at Earth, he goes super alongside Shadow, which is a really badass moment, but since there's two of them, he's only doing half the work. I don't know, it's tough.
Oh my god.
He grows a lot as a character throughout the game and learns some sick moves, but he really relies on his pals, and Shadow does most of the work in actually saving the day. This game also features some of his most fun levels in the series.
So
these
what, you're gonna make him chippable hero?
He is compared to his other games, and because of that, I gotta put this one in Sidekick tier. I love you, Sonic Adventure 2. I'm sorry.
Yo, that's crazy to put him in Sidekick tier. That is so crazy. I know somebody got mad at that.
I'm grouping this trilogy together again because his role is super consistent throughout.
This game was fun.
In Sonic Advance 1 and 3, you can choose from at least Sonic or Tails right from the get-go. Sonic Advance 2 is the only exception, but after beating just the first level, you unlock Cream the Rabbit. So he kickstarts the game, but like the others, is just a selectable character from that point on. He's definitely useful, but not more so than his pals, so he's one with the sidekicks. Sonic Heroes introduced a new team mechanic to the series, where
I'm interested in what you say about this one.
Speed, flight, or power archetype. Sonic's, of course, the speed guy, and he travels with Tails and Knuckles. However, power and flight are definitely the more useful abilities, because all three of these guys move fast as hell.
Leave it to me.
But he's still a decently equal contributor, and nothing more. Sidekick.
That's crazy.
The main character of this one
is... there's no debating. This is not a Sonic game.
Pretty self-explanatory, but Sonic does make an appearance as a side character that sometimes travels with Shadow through a level and can be played as with a second controller. This game has a whole bunch of story routes that change the way things play out. If Shadow helps the heroes, Sonic and Co defeat Black Doom, but if Shadow helps him, Sonic can't do a thing to stop it. This is about as helpless to a situation as we'll ever see Sonic, so I'll take the opportunity to give him his very first worthless.
Dang, that's crazy.
Sonic Rush features the new character Blaze, whose dimension is being merged with Sonic's by some evil plan from the two Eggmen. Her and Sonic are pretty comparable forces, but they don't really trust each other at first, so the two fight it out, and Sonic wins, her ass.
Of course.
Sonic collects the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and when Eggman drains the Soul Emeralds, he's able to show Blaze the meaning of friendship, which restores the Soul Emeralds.
The power of friendship.
They use their magic jewels to turn into Super Sonic and Burning Blaze and defeat the Egg Salamander.
Burning
Sonic's
Blaze.
The strongest character across both of these dimensions, and his gameplay introduces the boost mechanic, which makes him feel wicked powerful and fast. I think that's enough to push him up to an elite tier. For a game named after the guy, Sonic doesn't play a very vital role.
I didn't play this
plot
one.
Is confusing as all
for obvious
Sonic's
reason.
Distracted by Elise for most of the game.
Yikes.
While Silver's trying to avenge his fallen society, and Shadow's trying to figure out the sinister undertones of Eggman's plan, Sonic's trying to get some poon. He still crosses paths with the rest of the crew a lot, and contributes quite a bit then, but in the climax of the game, Mephiles kills Sonic and makes Elise cry, which releases Iblis and sends the world into disaster. He actually dies, and it takes the effort of every other character and a miracle to bring him back. But alongside Super Shadow and Super Silver, they save the day. So instead of needing one other guy's help, he needs 2. I gotta put this down and barely wins. He gets killed, it's done. And the bravery of his friends is the only reason he comes back. It's debatably worthless, but at least he does something.
Sonic Rush and Adventure.
Like the first Sonic Rush, Adventure brings back the boost style and Blaze the Cat.
But
this time the story is way more focused on the two of them working together. They seem way more like equals here, and all the cool vehicles that Tails and Marine are making take even more focus away from Sonic himself, and shoehorn in all these other gameplay styles. This game's more centered on exploration than pure speed like the first one, and given how prominent so many other characters are, he feels more like a sidekick if I'm being honest.
Sonic
this
Unleashed.
opening cinematic is straight up beautiful.
Yes.
Watching Sonic and Eggman duke it out in space is so satisfying and smooth. Eggman
was
has so
amazing,
many
man.
robots and
And
weapons
it still
firing
looks
off
good.
all at once, and Sonic looks absolutely unfazed
It still
by it
looks
all.
good,
but
man.
he gets a bit too cocky, lets his guard down,
Yeah.
and Eggman makes him pay for it. He decimates the planet, turns Sonic into his werehog form, and sends him back toward the surface. From there, he goes on a globe-trotting adventure with his new buddy Chip, and this game demotes the rest of Sonic's pals to either background characters or just completely omits them. Instead, it's daytime stages that feature that boost formula in 3D for the first time, which are adrenaline rushes through and through, and nighttime stages, where stretchy arm werehog Sonic beats up waves upon waves upon waves of enemies. He gets all the emeralds, puts the planet back in one piece, defeats the Egg Dragoon, and faces off against Dark Gaia as Super Sonic. He goes super all by himself again, and faces off against one of his most menacing looking foes to date. And that, with being the only playable character in 2 different forms with their own distinct strengths, makes this an easy elite.
Let's go. The only, bro, like literally one of the only times you'll ever see Sonic Unleashed in a S tier. Hey, enjoy it.
Both episodes of Sonic 4 feature a pretty vanilla retelling of the original Sonic games. Eggman's back to stealing emeralds, building up a Death Egg, and Sonic's back to saving Flickies and stopping him with the help of Tails. Not really much else to say about these. Standard as shit, and that's a decent portrayal of Sonic. Typical.
Why didn't they make episode 3
Eggman
again?
builds a theme park up in space where he's secretly making little aliens as slaves. Alright then. Sonic doesn't know this right away and just checks out the park for a good time. But he beats some levels, Eggman's intentions become more and more clear, and he stops him to save the day. This game has a super silly tone, and Sonic tries to crack cringy jokes in almost every cutscene.
Baldy nose hair! That's the best thing I've heard all day!
Oh, no, wait.
It's hard to
Eggman
watch,
got
but
that.
he's pretty average overall, and the Wisp transformations bring a slew of new abilities to Sonic's arsenal. But since they're temporary and dependent on power from another creature, I'm not really gonna raise his ranking.
Okay.
This game brings back a ton of Sonic's
has to
friends
be
for the
elite.
first time in a while, but they don't
saves
do
multi-universes.
anything. The Time Eater shows up and sucks everybody into a void, leaving just Sonic to go around and rescue them. And even once they're saved, they just stand around
they
in the
don't do
hub
anything.
world. The only other character that does anything is his classic form, which is
Let's
playable
go.
in these not very good 2D levels. Having 2 playable Sonics, though, was f***ing awesome when it came out.
For
It
real.
makes this a clear-cut elite.
Yes. Elite.
This portrayal of Sonic's character isn't great. It takes his awful
I
humor
heard
from colors and
everybody
just does it
hated this
again,
game.
unapologetically. Eggman's controlling the Zeddy with some kind of magic conch, and Sonic destroys it because, well, Eggman's the f***ing bad guy, and it would make sense to take away his minions. Instead, he's made out to be an idiot because he didn't know the creatures were hostile and able to mind control Eggman's badniks themselves.
Wow.
Well, sorry. Tails tried to warn him, but maybe speak up a little bit and don't be so f***ing indecisive and hesitant with your tone. Maybe you would have listened. They end up teaming up with Eggman. Tails is super pissed off at Sonic. Then he high roads Tails when he does something stupid, and Tails is sad. But then Sonic fucks up again and falls for a trap, and Tails sacrifices himself to save him.
Oh,
I was
man.
too slow to save my buddy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, kind of a terrible look, but it gets
For
worse
real.
somehow. Because when a
Oh,
bridge
man.
him and Eggman are standing on collapses, Eggman grabs the ledge, catches Sonic,
What?
and tosses him to safety. Before
What? No, no, this is legitimately the first time I'm seeing this because I didn't play the game, right? Eggman saved Sonic? Wow, I think I've seen it all, bro.
losing his own grip and falling to
I've
his
seen
death.
it all.
Sonic should have died on multiple occasions,
for
but was
real.
saved by Tails and his archenemy,
That's
and they pull off the
crazy.
upset somehow. I want to put this one in worthless so bad, because
Well, you
there's 3
can't, 'cause
really
it did
awful
save the
mistakes,
day, right?
but he does save the day in the
Okay,
end, so
there it is.
barely wins.
Barely wins. There it is. Sonic Boom. I
This
forgot
is
this
the
game
only Sonic Boom
existed.
game I'll be talking about,
Oh, good.
because 1, it's the only one for home console, and 2, because what I'll say for this one applies to the rest pretty well. He travels
rest?
with Tails, Knuckles,
There's
and
more than
Amy,
2?
and each character has unique attributes that are required to beat certain sections. They're all equally important, and while Sonic is
These
generally
Amy
seen as the
animations look
leader, in terms of importance, he's the same as the quote-unquote sidekicks, so... This
There it
game is a
is.
true return to classic form for Sonic, and it makes Tails and Knuckles playable from the start of the game. Tails can fly, Knuckles can glide and climb, and Sonic has the drop dash, making them all
Drop
feel
dash?
really
Cool.
different and fun to play as, especially with select routes that only they can access. But for Sonic's ranking, since he's just as useful as his old sidekicks, he's going down there with him.
Wow. Sonic Forces. Oh,
Sonic Forces. Oh, this definitely.
definitely got to be barely win. Either barely wins or sidekicks because bro did not do anything until like the last part of the game.
Sonic Forces. It tries to do the Sonic Generations thing again, but
No,
lacks
for
an
real.
ounce of creativity in doing so. Modern Sonic gets the shit kicked
Yes.
out of him by Infinite to start the game,
Yes.
and is thrown in jail afterwards for a long enough time for Eggman to completely take over the world. So Sonic loses. He's in a jail cell handcuffed, and Eggman does what he wants. Meanwhile, classic Sonic shows up and saves Tails, then contributes a little, but the new customizable character is the one that breaks Sonic out. And even after that, Infinite continues to kick his ass. And in the big battle at the end of the game, Knuckles leads the forces, and the rookie is the one who stops the giant sun from crashing into the planet. And Sonic's helpless to the situation. He still sorta does his part, but he barely wins.
Frontiers.
Sonic Frontiers gives Mr. Needle Mouse his most versatile moveset to date, with a skill tree for combat, the circle move that attacks and
I still can't believe this game exists. Like, do you know how epic it is? Like, I know this game's been out for a long time, and it's probably worn out its welcome for a lot of you that played it, right? I only played the demo. But isn't it crazy to see, like, Sonic is in an RPG, an open world RPG at that? Like, bro, that's pretty cool. That's
solves puzzles, and as usual at this point boost, and it's overall really smooth and tight to controlling. He also takes the events of the game a lot more seriously. Instead of cracking corny jokes and sounding all high-pitched like Roger Craig Smith is known for, he sounds way more mellow and mature. His friends are all trapped in cyberspace, and it's up to him to rescue them and uncover the mysteries of the Starfall Islands. It feels like Sonic really grew up for this role, and his abilities are better than ever. So we've got another really strong elite tier on our hands.
Okay, let's go. Sonic Superstars.
Sonic's latest 2D outing brings Tails, Knuckles, and Amy back to a playable role, and they're selectable in co-op and as single-player characters right from the get-go. So like I've done for all the other games that do this, he's going in Sidekick tier. And there you have it.
That was cool. Dang, that's it? Like, you don't got no outro? You don't tell nobody to subscribe? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and do that for you, brother. Sonic. Give it bro, this video was amazing, but that being said, I really wish... I don't know. Honestly, this is just a cool video. I thought I'd just make it. You know, shout out to the Sonic fans. I actually, you know, now that Sonic X Shadow Generation is coming out, bro, I'm super excited. And I'm like finding all these cool Sonic videos that are coming out. So the guy that made this, hold on, let me get his name because I do not. Jeremy, this is a great video, man. Great video. Hit it with a like button. Easy like, man. Anyways, yeah, Sonic, I figured he'd be way more useful, but you know, of course, as the games have gone by, they tried to expand on the other characters, so I can't even really get mad at it, right? Like how in Sonic Adventure 1, you know, Tails stops the explosion. It's like, yeah, that's good development for Tails. You know, other characters do their parts in like the Sonic 06. Good, that's more development for those characters. That being said, if you develop other characters, you're not developing the main character. So I get the concept of the video. I think it was a cool video and it's a cool concept. I definitely do want to check out the Tails video, but you guys let me know. Oh, in the Eggman video, that's cool. I didn't even know you made an Eggman video. But yeah, if you guys want to see that, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment telling me you want me to check it out because I'm not going to know if you don't let me know. So yeah, also join the Discord link down below, drop your videos. That's another way for me to check them out because it's like, boom, you submitted it. That lets me know you're interested. So yeah, it's your boy KhunShawn. This was a great video. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. Great editing. And the points that were made in the video were understandable. I don't agree with a lot, like with a lot of them, I think are fine, but I still think overall, like the way that Jeremy is getting his point across in the video is really good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Link in the description, see the original video, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.